Yaśodā nandana braja jana ranjana. Yaśodā nandana braja jana ranjana. Yamuna tira vanachari. Yamuna tira vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pariravatara Sutara Sakta Sri Srīmad His Divine Grace Avoid Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Ramacharya Srila Haridasta Kori Ki Prem Segaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Srila Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhana Ki Vrindavan Dama Ki Mayapur Navarit Dama Ki Jagannath Puri Dama Ki Gangamai Jamunamai Ki Damodar Ashtakama Ki Damodar Leela Ki Manta Kartik Ki Gaura Premanandi. Oh glories to the assembled ones. Oh glories to the assembled ones. Oh glories to the assembled ones. Oh glories, oh glories, oh glories, Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, Holy Sri Sri Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So we're reading from the 10th canto. 10th canto is entitled Summum Bonum. Yeah, Summum Bonum. And this chapter is entitled, chapter 9, Mother Yaśodā binds Kṛṣṇa. We're in the month of Kartik, the month of Damodar, and the pastime of Kṛṣṇa.
Close that bit. No, this.
Okay, both are working. The pastime of Kṛṣṇa as a child, as a baby, interacting with his mother, allowing her to display her incredible premium motherly affection for the Lord. So far we've been hearing about the setting the scene, month of Kartik. Dipavali is a major festival in that month and big celebration. It's Indian New Year, isn't it, Dipavali?
For Gujaratis it is the New Year. For Gujaratis it is the New Year, but for other parts of India it is not.
Right. Ram was there in, where is Ayodhya compared to?
Ayodhya is in Uttar Pradesh.
Uttar Pradesh. Okay, Uttar Pradesh. Anyway, I'm geographically illiterate, so I'll leave it up to you. Dipavali, big festival, and on this particular day, everybody's away preparing. Nanda Maharaj would normally go to celebrate another festival, preparation. Which festival is that? But Upananda went instead. Some worship of a particular, I can't remember, I remember reading it, but I can't remember the details. So now where the scene is focusing on Mother Yaśodā in her home. Baby Kṛṣṇa has woken up or is sleeping, and she's going about her normal duties. And mothers, what they do is they feed their children. Having children so that they can look after them, so they can be the repository of their love, so that they can be the goal of their lives. Sometimes devotees, they have children, and because they're absorbed, their child takes on almost the mood of like a great soul, and they're worshipping their child. Obviously, my brother was telling me that he didn't have much relationship with his son, and then suddenly his son was having children, another child. But the interaction with a new child and someone who's related to you, it's just overwhelming. It's very powerful emotions exchange there. It's very special. So Mother Yaśodā, she's been meditating on feeding her son, and she makes special arrangements. Her husband takes charge of getting the best cows. Somehow or other, in amongst his 900,000 cows, he's got some extra special cows. Padma, what's the name? Padmaganda. She's the best of the best because her milk is sweet and fragrant. And then they feed her on special grasses and clovers and things, and herbs and fruits and things to make it even more special. And that milk is collected. And then Mother Yaśodā, she prepares the milk for her son. One of her motivations is that he's got the habit of going and stealing. He's a thief, he's a mischief monger. And he goes to other people's houses, and she thinks, well, it's because my milk products are not good enough. So she puts an extra endeavour to make her milk products the best. So reading from text number 7. Uttarya gopi susatam paya punnaha pravishya sandrisha chadatyam rakam vagnam vilokya swasutasya kamataj jahasatam chapina tatra pastati. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Mother Yaśodā, after taking down the hot milk from the oven, returned to the churning spot And when she saw that the container of yogurt was broken and that Krishna was not present, she concluded that the breaking of the pot was the work of Krishna. Purport: seeing the pot broken and Krishna not present, Yaśodā definitely concluded that the breaking of the pot was the work of Krishna. There was no doubt about it. Very short purport. In Sri Damodar Janani, we have expansion, elaboration of what took place here. The hot milk, in order to cook in India, in a palace, then you had to stoke the fire. So fire, wood, cow dung patties. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to say, the best chapatis are those chapatis, rotis, which are prepared on cow dung fire, because it flavors them very specially. And we were in Mayapur, and one of the people we were interacting with, he was a taxi driver, and he would refuse to eat outside because the food prepared outside, it was cooked on gas, and gas does a certain thing to the food. It gives you gas. So he was preferring, he would abstain, and he would go home and he would have his rotis cooked on cow dung. So it gives a special quality. In this particular transcendental situation, Mother Yaśodā, she takes the milk off the fire, and the fire there, although the fire is glowing and it is effulgent, it's eclipsed by the warmth and the energy coming from Mother Yaśodā. She regards everything in the kitchen as energy of Krishna, or for the purpose of serving Krishna. Just like in our temples, we have certain machinery. There's the machine that chops up vegetables into little pieces. It's called a ditto. So the devotees, they used to affectionately say, Bhakta ditto. And they would look after the machinery. They would consider. So Mother Yaśodā, she's exemplifying this. She's got the fire, she's personally related with the fire. But still, the description of the acharyas state that her personal energy in serving Krishna eclipses the energy of the fire. He takes the milk pot off and puts it down. Here the short purport and the translation describes that she concludes that it's Krishna. Before that time, she contemplates. Oh, she doesn't put the blame entirely on Krishna. She considers, she sees the churning pots broken. Well, she sees yogurt spilled all over the place, and she starts to consider, well, clay pots which are there for hanging the yogurt, so that it sometimes has a propensity to leak. Even if, and in her case, her churning pots, her clay pots which are storing the yogurt, have got tassels on them, and they're decorated. They're the best. They're maybe not a clay pot with jewels studded, but it's a special pot. It's hard to get pots like that. In Mayapur, the villages there, they're still making clay pots, and you can have the fresh clay pots. But here they're a huge cost, and they've got ceramic on the outside. They've gone for plastic. They've gone for plastic and steel. That's the opulence here. But to actually have natural earthen products that are fashioned by hand. So Mother Yaśodā is living in this culture in this time. So she considers all the other elements, and it's a little bit more sophisticated thinking. That it's not just push button, everything works and it should be the way it should be. But you have consideration for the elements, consideration for, and so something might have leaked. And then she looks around, and I think that comes up in the next purport. Crows. That's the next verse. She looks around and slowly puts it together. What's happened? Then she looks at the pot, and there's no leak. It's not leaking, but there's a little hole in there. The Acharyas described it, it's not that the pot was smashed, but Krishna very intelligently, he just got a little stone and he made a hole in it. Spoilt the whole thing, and then there's yogurt dripping out all over the floor. And then she looks around further, and after still giving her son the benefit of the doubt, so much love for her, Krishna, oh Krishna, he's my darling son. She's oblivious, and Krishna, he through the agency of Yoga Maya, he reinforces that mood that she doesn't regard him as the Supreme Personality of God. He's just her beloved son. So he's just a little kid, he's happy, he's good boy. And even before that, she was cooking and the milk had not come to the boil, so she was looking to where her son was still sleeping. And she could see Krishna there, sleeping. But in fact, he'd already created all the mischief and he was off down the stairs. And the Acharyas, it's described by the Acharyas that Yoga Maya covered her perception. Like you can look at something and you can see and it still appears the same. But if you take a second look, then you understand that there's a slight, something's gone wrong, something's changed. So in order to maintain that impression, then Krishna's energy is working. Yoga Maya, she's there to fulfill the desires of Krishna. She talks to herself, and in the Damodar Janani, there's descriptions of the sound of the where she hears. She's talking to herself, but who reciprocates with her is, for instance, the sound of the churning, swish, swish, swish. And then as she's thinking or speaking to herself, then the answer comes from the wind. The answer is conveyed through those different mediums. And slowly, 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 she comes to the conclusion, because of guidance, because of intelligence, that actually Krishna is the result, Krishna is the cause of all this. Then she starts to see, Yoga Maya Veil lifts a little bit, she sees the handprints on the wall, the yogurt impressions of handprints on the wall. And I'll read the next verse because it introduces some other characters here. Text number 8. Kṛṣṇa at that time was sitting on an upside-down wooden mortar for grinding spices and was distributing milk preparations such as yogurt and butter to the monkeys as he liked. Because of having stolen, he was looking all around with great anxiety, suspecting that he might be chastised by his mother, Mother Yaśodā. Upon seeing him, very cautiously approached him from behind. Purport: Mother Yaśodā was able to trace Kṛṣṇa by following his butter-smeared footprints. She saw that Kṛṣṇa was stealing butter, and thus she smiled. Meanwhile, the crows also entered the room and came out in fear. Thus Mother Yaśodā found Kṛṣṇa stealing butter and very anxiously looking here and there. Yeah, the handprints of the yogurt on the... Here we're discussing how Mother Yaśodā is churning butter. In the West, butter is made from cream. Once in Sydney we got a donation of, I think it was 150 litres of cream. It was a little bit past its date. It was not fresh. So they didn't know what to do with it. It was from the food bank. They didn't know, 150 litres, half a pallet load or something like that. So no problem, we took it back to the temple, and in our big brat pan, we separated the cream, separated the buttermilk from the cream, and in our big brat pan we just cooked it down and made ghee. And some of the cream we turned into ice cream and things like that, and we had a party. So with the milk products, what I understand is the first day the milk is gathered and it's available within the village. A big pot, hot milk. In order to preserve the milk, you need to heat it. So a big thing of hot milk. And at the end of the day, whatever's left over is allowed to transform into yogurt. Dahi. Once we were on travelling Sankirtan, we were in the area where the dairy farms were. Beautiful Jersey cows, very rich milk. So we would go and we'd meet the farmers sometimes at the milking time, and we would say, it's very hard to get real milk. We love real milk. Can you give us some? And they were quite happy. They had like 400 litres there, and they'd give us a couple of litres each. And we'd bring it back, and in the evening time we'd prepare some paneer. We'd cook it up next morning and have paneer. That was going on for about a week. And we came back to the temple after enjoying the luxury of immense, best quality milk products. And the first person we met at the temple was Kṛṣṇa. And he looked at our faces and he asked, what have you been doing? Because it was an overload. Our eyes were hanging out. We'd just been bombarded with so much intense, beautiful quality food stuff. We said, well, it's described in the Nectar Devotional that if you eat too many milk products, then the cure for eating too many milk products is curds. We were thinking it means paneer. And he immediately picked up on the misunderstanding. He said, you idiots! Curd means dahi, it means yogurt. Committing suicide. He also chastised us once for not fasting properly on the Ekadashi. He said, yeah, it's a suicide. You don't fast properly on the Ekadashi. You're killing millions of mothers and fathers. So just the subtleties of the science of Vedic knowledge. So anyway, the milk is there in the village, big karai, and everybody's free to come and take hot milk. Garam dud. It nourishes the finer tissues of the brain. It's hot milk at night. Very nice. So then turns into yogurt, and then the yogurt for one day is fresh and it's light and it's sweet, and that's the best way to take yogurt. Next day it becomes less palatable, it's sour. Here you buy yogurt, it's been sitting around for a month in a container in the refrigerator, and it's set, it hasn't changed. There's something else in there, some nasty preservatives to make it appear as though it's good, but it's rotten. Like in the other sections there, they have stuff that's been harvested from the bodies of animals, and that's bright red and effulgent and stuff like that, but it's also months old and it's rotten and it stinks and it's going to rot inside you. So fresh yogurt is good. Then the next, when it's not usable just for a day, then it's transformed into another milk product, and that's butter. Now makhan. And Krishna loves to eat that fresh butter, fresh churned yogurt. So now he has access, and they're in a village of cowherd people. There's milk all over the place, and curd and butter. And he goes and he gets great pleasure in upsetting other mothers who have been spending time and energy into producing such a product, and stealing. And then in this particular instance, he steals the yogurt and he takes it outside. He's got himself, he's taken off with one pot, and he's got it there, and he's putting his hand in there, and he scoops and licks it off his hand, and half licks them, and the other half he offers it to the monkeys there, flicks it to the monkeys. The crows, they also enjoy such remnants. So they found a way into the storeroom, into one of the windows, and they were there enjoying the spread out milk products. Here now, in our house now, the ants have started coming in. For 6 months they were gone. I thought, wow. But suddenly they're back again there. It's the season, and they're enjoying the remnants that they can find all over the place. So the animals, they also get their couple of grains of sugar. Krishna arranges to feed everyone. So the crows came in, and they started to relish the remnants. Mother Yaśodā, she went in there to see the disaster, and the crows flew up in dismay. And you imagine a scared bird, a bat. You go out in the backyard and sometimes there's a bat in the fruit tree and it makes a big flapping noise and takes off, and there's distress, there's anxiety, what's going on. So the crows are doing like that, but Mother Yaśodā, she's thinking of Kṛṣṇa, she's cool and calm, and she steps aside and they all fly out. There's again the discussion, all the different, everything's conscious in the spiritual world. So the other birds, they start criticizing the crows and saying, well, they're a discredit to the birds of Braj. They're scavengers and they're coming in here and they're making such a disturbance. So Mother Yaśodā, she observes everything, and finally, after putting everything together, she concludes, there's Kṛṣṇa's footprints there. There's nobody else who could do it. Where is he? Where is Kṛṣṇa? He's not out there. And she thought he was there, but he's not there. She traces the footprints, she goes down the back steps, and she sees the upturned wooden grinding mortar, grinding spices. You would turn it upside down so that the rain doesn't get in there and the leftover spices, it doesn't become nasty. And Kṛṣṇa's sitting there with his back to the doorway, but and he's feeding the monkey. She can see, she's conscious. She senses that he's worried. And mother-child relationship, she thinks he's doing this. He has a reputation for doing this in other households, but he hasn't done it to such an extent before as in this house. And he knows he's up to mischief. He knows that he's done something wrong. So he senses that he's going to get punished. He's worried, and he's in anxiety. The Damodar I just had a look into, there's an appendix describing how is it that this fear can be there. Kṛṣṇa is known as the, he is feared by fear personified. It's said that the sun rises, everything, all of the elements of nature which are controlled by the demigods, they function exactly as they should, out of fear of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's not actually, and the fear has a particular flavour to it. It's not fear, it's just concern or respect. If you want to have a relationship with God, then the first element is respect, a healthy respect. And that sometimes manifests, okay, you understand if you don't do the right thing, then there's retribution, so there's fear, the consideration like that. The acharyas are describing that the fear that's existing between these residents of the spiritual world it's natural. There's 5 main direct relationships: Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakyaras, Vatsalyaras, and Madhuryaras. The mood of neutrality, respect. The second of servitude, then friendship. The relationship becomes more intense. There's just not just a servant, but there's friendship. And then there's the parental mood, and when that becomes more intense and more intimate, then that becomes the conjugal ras. So in those different relationships, those are the direct relationships. There's 7 indirect relationships. One of those indirect moods is fear and dread and ghastliness and laughter, and there's 3 more apart from that. So this particular fear, it's natural. Within the spiritual world, our fear is based on remembrance of past and conjecture into the future. Oh, I had this experience and everything went wrong and there was pain, and I'm just going to guard against that happening again. So fear is the element that drives us. In the spiritual world, the past and present, the future and the past are not the main consideration. It's just absorption in the past, in the present, sorry. So Mother Yaśodā, she forgets that Kṛṣṇa is God. She doesn't consider that. And she's just regarding him as her child. So she's concerned about his welfare. Oh, something could go wrong. So that creates a sense of fear. Emotions are fine-tuned and tweaked, and it's just more exciting. It's not just blank, okay, here's God and I'm doing my duty. So there's emotions, there's exchange of emotions. And Kṛṣṇa, he's reciprocating. We get up to the point where Kṛṣṇa starts running. Yeah, okay. We'll go forward. So he's apprehensive. He knows he's done something wrong. He's sitting in the wooden grinding mortar. He's feeding the monkeys. The elaboration goes on. Why is he feeding the monkeys? Because in his previous incarnation as Lord Ram, he took assistance from the monkeys, and he promised he'd look after them. So he's taking now the opportunity to repay his debt, to actually personally feed, and at the expense of Mother Yaśoda's anxiety. She's not aware of that, but he's managing, juggling so many balls all at once. He's managing. He's expert. Kṛṣṇa is expert. He can achieve many things with one action. So he's repaying the debt to the monkeys. He's heightening the emotions. He's displaying. And the demigods, they're also witnessing and say, "Wow, how is this that our worshipful Lord? He's in anxiety. He's fear. How can he be feared?" Queen Kunti, she says, "It's bewildering that Mother Yaśoda is, and you're fearing Mother Yaśoda. You start manifesting tears and rubbing your eyes." That's what we hear in the Damodar prayers. A lot packed in there, a lot. Krishna's just full on. Section number 9. When Lord Kṛṣṇa saw his mother, stick in hand, he very quickly got down from the top of the mortar and began to flee as if very much afraid. Although yogis try to capture him as Paramatma by meditation, desiring to enter into the effulgence of the Lord with great austerities and penances, they fail to reach him. But Mother Yaśoda, thinking that same personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa, to be her son, began following Kṛṣṇa to catch him. The stick that Mother Yaśoda has in her hand, as she was walking out the door, she noticed Nanda Maharaj, his walking stick, which is no ordinary stick. It's jewel encrusted, but it was there, it was handy. He didn't need it for the day. So, like our Guru Maharaj, he's got a dozen walking sticks, different lengths and different coming from different people. And he's got the stick for supporting his arm, which he got from some yogi. All these elaborate, it's like extra paraphernalia. The negative side of the stick is described by Srila Prabhupada. When an old man, when he needs to get a stick, he becomes like three-legged. He's walking around with 3 legs. And that's also there's a little bit of a negative feeling among society. You're old, you're crippled, you've got to walk in a frame, there's something wrong with you. It's not natural. Lord Buddha, he was a prince and he was living in a palace and everything was ideal. He was surrounded by beautiful people. One day he went for a walk outside and he noticed somebody who was sick. He said, "What's that?" And, there's somebody who was dying. "What's that?" These are things which are hidden from us. And he saw them, and because he was such a great soul, he then dedicated himself to enlightenment. But that's the nature of Maya. She covers up everything. In India, we were told when we first went there, it's very raw nature. You don't have these things hidden. You have to deal with them. They're practical facts. So the walking stick is there. Mother Yaśoda grabs it on the way. Because she's thinking that why she smiles when she realizes that Kṛṣṇa is doing all this jamela, all this nonsense. She's really, really satisfied. She thinks, wow, he's a smart kid. I love him. He's so intelligent the way he's doing these things. And she appreciates there's something special about Kṛṣṇa. And she talks to herself and she talks to Kṛṣṇa in her mind from a distance. Okay, now you've become a pundit in the art of butter stealing. You think you're pretty good. Puffed up pundit. But I am an expert. I'm the pundit in how to punish butter thieves. So she's thinking like this, and she then acts upon that determination. She goes out appreciating, smiling, but also driven by the sense of obligation and the love and the desire to see her son as the best, to teach him a lesson, to discipline him. Lord Chaitanya, he was being a rascal student, and he would, after school, he'd go to bathe with his friends in the Ganges. And while he was in the Ganges, there was other brahmanas there doing their activities. So Lord Chaitanya would harass them. He'd go under the water and they were chanting their Gayatri, he'd pull their feet out from underneath them, and he'd go under the water, take a mouthful of water and spray water on them. These are pastimes which you experience when you go to Mayapur. Jananivas Prabhu and Pankajani, they would engage in these pastimes, splashing water. So Jagannath Mishra Prabhu, he heard the complaints, and he made the resolution that when his son came back home, he would chastise him. And then Lord Chaitanya, child Nimai came back home, and his mystic potency, he was still covered in dust. He'd just been bathing, but he appeared to his father as though bewildered, he was covered in dust. Oh, Father, I've just come back from school, I haven't been bathing, I'm not the culprit, don't chastise me. And some of his friends said, how can you get on the case of this amazing son, this Nimai? And his Jagannath Mishra's response was, he may be Narayan, he may be the Supreme Personality of God, but I'm his father, and it's my obligation to train him. It's a heavy responsibility of the parents, because the behavior of the child reflects on the parent. So in order to keep the status quo and then training and education has to be there. If you're not trained, then you're considered third class and fourth class. Nowadays, kids are just, I don't know what they're doing. Gimme. Everything and anything instant. They're becoming monsters. It's the responsibility of the parents. Responsibility of the parents for not training them properly. So the stick is there, and Kṛṣṇa, there's an exchange between Mother Yaśodā and Kṛṣṇa regarding the stick. I won't read this purport. It goes into the element of the yogis who are trying to approach Kṛṣṇa as in meditation. I will read. Yogis, mystics, want to catch Kṛṣṇa as Paramatma, and with great austerities and penances they try to approach him, yet they cannot. Here we see, however, that Kṛṣṇa is going to be caught by Yaśodā and is running away in fear. This illustrates the difference between the bhakta and the yogi. Yogis cannot catch Kṛṣṇa, reach Kṛṣṇa, but for pure devotees like Mother Yaśodā, Kṛṣṇa is already caught. Kṛṣṇa was even afraid of Mother Yaśoda's stick. This was mentioned by Queen Kunti in her prayers. Bhaya bhavanaya stitasya. Kṛṣṇa is afraid of Mother Yaśodā, and yogis are afraid of Kṛṣṇa. Yogis try to reach Kṛṣṇa by jnana yoga and other yogas, but fail. Yet although Mother Yaśodā was a woman, Kṛṣṇa was afraid of her, as clearly described in this verse. Interesting. It highlights the nature of the devotee, that they're beyond the rules and regulations. They're following the rules and regulations, but they're not controlled, they're not restricted by the rules and regulations. It's the love, the devotion, the aspect of trying to please Kṛṣṇa that develops the relationship. It's said that you cannot understand who Kṛṣṇa is if you're not blessed by the association of another devotee. Bhakti is something that it's a blessing, it's given. Otherwise you get stuck on these other levels. The yoga ladder, that's you're trying to claw your way up to understand the nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the devotees, they're transported, they're elevated into another realm. Krishna's God, I just want to chant his name, I just want to engage in service, I just want to love him. And Mother Yaśodā, she's at the pinnacle of such a mood, and she is controlling Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa is subservient to her love. just as a prelude to the next verse, we might not read that verse. Mother Yaśodā, she sneaks down the stairs, and Krishna's still worried what's going to happen when she catches me. So she notices him and she starts moving more stealthily towards him. Krishna senses that he's been discovered, and he jumps off the wooden grinding board, and he ponders for a while. Okay, now what's going to happen? So he just hears, "Run, hide, get away." So he starts acting like that. It's part of the pastime, and he moves away from his mother. And he noticed she's got the stick, and he understands she's really serious. What? She's never grabbed a stick before. Why? How can she do this? How can she do that? How can my mother beat me with a stick? So it heightens the anxiety, heightens the interchange. And Mother Yaśodā, she moves forward and tries to catch him. And they just, both of them running around the courtyard and dodging and ducking, and they're both putting in a lot of effort, but there's always just a gap. This appears later in the pastime where Mother Yaśodā decides, okay, he's running and I've caught him. Now how to prevent him from running away? I'll tie him up. And she gets the rope, and she gets all the ropes. She keeps tying them together and adding more and more ropes. She keeps trying to put it around Kṛṣṇa. But there's always 2 inches too short. And that 2 inches too short is represented by, because she eventually bridges that by her love. And so the too short, you can't approach Kṛṣṇa unless you've got that love, that attachment for Kṛṣṇa. So the stick, and then running. Mother Yaśodā, the Acharyas describe how she's putting in a lot of effort. She's still reasonably fit, but after a while she's not as young and energetic as the child, and she's weighed down with a big motherly form, and she starts to perspire, and the beautiful flowers in her hair, they keep falling out, and her hair becomes loose. The flowers that the Acharyas described, that the flowers, there's a few flowers in the hair, and as they were falling, they just kept on, there was more and more flowers. It was like the whole arena was decorated with flowers, the whole courtyard. We went to Bermuda once for travelling Sankirtan, and the main impression that stayed with me was when we got there, all the gutters were full of flowers. It's just like in a tropical paradise. There's frangipanis, and there's an abundance of flowers. Here, dust and bush, and it's beautiful. So that it's more, the tropical places are considered like spiritual. Prabhupada was saying that Fiji could be such an ideal place, and it could be one of the first Krishna conscious nations. So they're running, and this whole backwards and forwards, to and fro is going on. And when Mother Yaśodā starts to realize that she's not going to catch him like this, her cunning, her womanly guiles, her guile creeps in, and she starts to express to Kṛṣṇa, trying to get an advantage over him, "You're a naughty boy, why are you running? Stop." And Kṛṣṇa says, "Not while you've got that stick. Put down the stick and I'll stop. I'll get away." And she's still, and then backwards and forwards, they both slow down a bit. There's this interchange, and they start to get a little bit, not just energy, they're starting to exchange emotions and more. So he says, I will stop if you put down the stick. So Mother Yaśodā hides the stick behind her, and Kṛṣṇa slows right down, and then Mother Yaśodā, Kṛṣṇa's still at a distance. He starts crying. He starts using his childish intelligence. He starts trying to gain sympathy. He starts crying and rubbing his eyes and sobbing and telling his mother, "Why are you going to beat me? You've never done this before. Stop." And Mother Yaśodā, she's determined. Kṛṣṇa, in this mood of fear, or describing fear, and the Acharyas, they start to ask, how is it that he's the source of all protection? How is it? Is he just play acting? Are these crocodile tears? Is this just a show? Is he acting like for just to try and... No, it's real. It's real fear because of that exchange. His mother, who he's relied upon her, has never acted like this. So he's exchanging those relationships with Rasas. And in the back of the mind, he reverts back into, oh, I'm Krishna, I'm the Supreme Personality of God. Why should I be fearful? And he develops another plan. When she gets so close and she thinks she got me, I'm just going to become invisible. I'll just disappear. So it's getting to just like the crutch of the thing, and Mother Yaśoda's about to ground, and he said, okay, I'm going to become invisible. He's the mystic, the master of all mystics. But he can't. It doesn't work. It's switched off. What's happening? How come I've lost my power? And then he realizes that Mother Yaśoda's love is more powerful than my determination, my ability in this field. And he just eventually has to surrender. And Mother Yaśoda grabs him, takes him by the hand, and challenges him more and stirs the emotions more. You rascal, you. You're also, I think that it's this verse or the next verse starts talking about you're the king of the monkeys. You're just a monkey. You think you're such a great, but you're just a monkey king. So lovely exchange. It's very sweet and very nicely described by Sri Damodar Janani and the Acharyas, and an personal experience with Sri Ram Maharaj. We went to South India. Maharaj stayed in our house in Mayapur for the GBC meetings for 30 days or a month, 3 years in a row. He took our house, he took over our house basically, and we were looking after him and serving him. And always looked after us very well. He said, okay, I'm going to South India for some Ayurvedic treatment. You come, I'll book a spot for you. He will look after us. So we were there doing the Ayurvedic treatment. He was there, Niranjan Maharaj was there, Bhaddi Narayan Maharaj was there, another couple of Swamis were there, and it was the month of Kartik. So Sri Ram Maharaj has beautiful deities. We've seen his Radhe Shyam in Hungary. He has little personal deities, beautiful travelling altar. There's a Jagannath, there's some shalagrams, and his Harekrishna deities, Kṛṣṇa, he's holding the flute the opposite way around. So the beautiful deity there, they're Radha Damodar. The Radha Damodar deities that he travels with, little deities, they are the original deities of Swarup Damodar, who was the personal secretary for Lord Chaitanya. He's managed to rescue those deities, they've come into his possession. So he was performing daily puja, and it was the month of Kartik, so we'd go there in an evening, and he would recite the Damodarastakam prayers. And the way that he expressed that offering, that prayer to Lord Damodar, you could feel that he was communicating, he was there. He'd been doing it for the last 40 years, and he developed a very deep relationship, which is manifest in his books. On Govardhan Puja Day, then his servant decorated the altar to look like Govardhan Hill. Went and found some rocks and something, and it was just transformed. He was just there, just absorbed in these pastimes. So the extent that we can go into in remembering and meditating on and contemplating these pastimes is unlimited. One particular little point can just be expanded on, and not just expand on with our own interpretation, but by mining the jewels in the mind, digging and just finding it. Like Guru Maharaj is doing his classes, and he goes into so much detail. Just imagine, where is this? What's the answer? And he discovers the answer and gives us a precious pearl of wisdom. So stop now. As far as I can see, the clock up there tells me that it's almost time. Has anybody got anything they would like to add, or anything that they've understood from this aspect of the Damodar Leela pastimes?
This day it was called Deepavali because Lord Ram returned to Ayodhya, and the Ayodhya was the lamp. The lamp is called Deepa, so it was called Deepavali. But after this Leela, it is now called Premavali. The festival is called not Deepavali, Premavali, because of the prema exhibited here. I will also read something from when we're talking of emotions here. The last chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ante Leela, chapter 20, the Shikshashtaka prayers. It's interesting how the emotions in the transcendental world are taking place. Because in our case, we have positive emotions and negative emotions. You will not find them together. If you're angry, you won't find jubilation there. But here, it's explained, the first verse of the last chapter of Ante Leela, Shikshashtaka prayers. Only the most fortunate will relish the mad words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which were mixed with jubilation. So when you have jubilation, envy. When you have jubilation, it's like hard to think when envy is there. Agitation, submissiveness and grief, all produced by ecstatic loving emotions. Day and night, he tasted transcendental blissful songs and verses with two associates, namely Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Raya. He relished the symptoms of various transcendental emotions such as jubilation, lamentation, anger, humility, anxiety, grief, eagerness, and satisfaction. These are all contradictory emotions, but in the transcendental world, especially you see here Mahaprabhu is experiencing these emotions. And we were hearing a class in the month of Kartik by His Holiness Damodar Swami, and he was saying that these emotions are coming like waves. So sometimes you see in the ocean, the waves are pushing each other and they're making it higher and higher and higher. So sometimes these emotions which are of the same nature, they'll push each other and they'll make it higher and higher and higher. But then also we see that the waves, when they crash, so when the contradictory emotions are coming together, going higher and higher, and again crash. So he was explaining us like that we cannot feel those emotions in the material world. In the transcendental world, these emotions are there, as we can see also in the Damodar Leela. So many emotions are like appearing.
It's the emotions that it intensifies the nature of the relationship.
Yes.
If there wasn't this contradictory emotions, love and then anxiety, concern, fear, disturbance like that, then the love wouldn't be expressed, it wouldn't be manifest.
Yes.
So sometimes we put into these situations in order to bring out, just everything's okay, then we miss out on the reality of things. There's people out here that they're getting hurt, they're reliant, they want to exchange, they want to be people, they don't want to just be objects. And in the relationship, in the nature of pure love, when you get Premavali, we're saying, so there's the level of after Bhava, which is the beginning of ecstatic emotions, then Prema, and Prema is just the beginning. There's 10 layers above Prema. We can experience Prema, but to experience the other, like up to Mahabhav, we can't do it in this particular body. The emotions would just tear us apart. You need to get a spiritual body in order to experience those higher emotions. So the emotions that we can experience here come from hearing, from associating, from serving, from trying to deal with our anartas and frustration, and that's sufficient. And to hear about the higher nature of love, which is waiting for us in a real home, then that's the consolation. That's it's all worth it. All of the upheavals and the ups and downs that we're going through. It's part of the living. Not going to be stones. It's even said in our relationship with Lord Chaitanya, please embrace me, he says about Srimati Radharani, please embrace me or chastise me. I don't mind. Just don't ignore me. just to leave me sitting here on the shelf. Don't ignore me. I prefer to be chastised or embraced or engaged in this way as part of, you can be a part of the mission, or Krishna can do a lot with us, or he can do a lot without us, but better to be a part of it and go through all of the ups and downs, the upheavals and the waves, and higher and higher and higher, and crash, but there's a safety net. You can always meekly and humbly and feebly call out, Krishna, Harekrishna, help me. And we know that Krishna is like we said, you know that Krishna is there supporting you. You feel that sense of support, and that's keeps us going, keeps us alive. Srimati Radharani, she expresses, you know, her emotions come out more and so on. Death is expressed. She's just, Lord Chaitanya, he fell into a trance in Jagannath Mandir, and they couldn't detect any life symptoms because of that absorption in the mood of love of God. So we're prepared to go to that extent. Devotees, we see the example, we're prepared to go to that extent to display their determination, their love. And there's a statement made, okay, you look like a good devotee, let's see what happens in 10 years' time. You're still going to be around, you're still going to weather the storms. Right now, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. There's a long way back to the spiritual world. And while we're here, we can do a lot for serving Krishna, or he can do it on his own without us. Let's be part of the fun, the excitement. Any other ideas?
Just, you know, when you offer the love to Lord Damodar, usually it's like 4, 2, 3, 7. Do you also offer love to Mother Yaśodā, or just give respect, or how you also relate with Mother Yaśodā? Because I heard some devotee just only offer to Lord Damodar. So what about Mother Yaśodā?
Well, this is, and we sing Jaya Radha Damodar. Actually, there's two Damodar Leela pastimes. One, this is Yaśodā Damodar, and there is another Radha Damodar pastime. So definitely Mother Yaśodā is being highlighted here in this section. So she's superior to Krishna in this instance. And with the question of the technicality of offering lamps, offer to whoever you want to. To restrict, okay, I've just got to focus on Damodar, it's his month, and actually it's not, it's her month, it's Radharani's month, and Mother Yaśodā is also in the same mood. So offer lamps to everybody, and the example of offering to great personalities, that's what we should offer to every individual. We should show respect to all living entities. So when you offer the lamps, then offer one element that devotees also include is they offer on the altar, and they turn around and offer to the assembled Vaishnavas. So there shouldn't be any limitation. And the way you offer, and some people just, when Prabhupada first started deity worship, he said just come to the temple and offer something. So people were offering some stalks of wheat that they found, their new jeans they were offering, and this is the principle of offering. Engage in that offering, and then later it can be refined. Who are you offering to? What is the lamp? Who am I? What's the relationship? That comes in due time. We were paying obeisances, and we think, okay, I'll pay my obeisances. There's the old Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, but yet that you can go unlimitedly deep into Namaha, and who am I, and what's, and then even there's an element of offering obeisances. When you go to India and different places, you go and you loudly pronounce the pranams, because that heralds to the other people, I'm a disciple of such and such, and so that gives you more responsibility, and so you don't hide, you go deeper and deeper into all these different elements. Just Damodar.
Actually, it's mentioned the other side that Krishna will not accept any offering if his devotees are not included. So even when we do Aarti, as you said, we offer to the devotees who are taking part in the Aarti. Obviously, Mother Yaśodā is in the same photo with Krishna, and she is the best devotee this Leela is concerned. So definitely we must offer the Aarti to Mother Yaśodā.
Yeah, and there's a way of approaching the altar as well. You go through your spiritual master, and actually when you're doing the Aarti, our understanding is that we're not here capable of being here in front of Krishna. We're assisting our spiritual master. We're handing him the chamara, so that we're actually, there's different, expand it, make it more all-inclusive rather than limited. Do what you can, do your best. It's like that.
Why just 4.37? Why just those numbers? Is there any significance?
I know that that's with the lamp. With the incense, you don't offer to the head. So you're not sticking incense up the Lord's nose. It's an offering from a distance. You're offering. So those are areas where you can show extra attention to and more respect. It's a way of regulating. But if you can't count it, if you're counting, you're not observing yourself. After a while, you should get into a routine. It should become like a rhythm, and it's automatic. And then, but if you can't do that, just 7 times all around the body, and just do the best you can. That's just when you study the scriptures, also it describes. There's one chapter in the Nectar Devotion, the 64 qualities of Krishna. That's just to assist us in our focusing our mind to study. But Krishna has unlimited qualities. But if you think it in a broad sense, it's just unlimited. Then you don't focus on the actual element. Service to everybody is service to nobody. You have to serve, and the specifics. So you become absorbed in the specifics, and then while you're doing, it's just automatic. I'm reaching on the floor, but look at those feet. They're beautiful, and the waist and the decorated. I have a friend in Mayapur. He goes into the temple evening times, and he stands in front of the deities for about an hour and a half. I'm there for a couple of minutes, and I go, okay, gotta go. So, and he's looking there, and he's identifying. Look, Krishna's got 10 different types of flowers, and there's this flower there. This is coming to seed, and he's decorated like this. There's ways of intensifying the focus and the meditation. So just becoming conscious and aware of all the elements, then you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. Oh, his ankle belt's fallen off. His toe ring is different today, and they don't match, or they do match. Or look, isn't that? And sometimes you go and you look at the altar, and you see the order of the parampara. There was one time the upside down or something like that. So you're more attentive, and everything goes nice. And if you're inattentive, and then you just inform. It's a way of interacting. I was thinking about Lord Nityananda, and I came into the temple and I looked at the Mangalarti, and all the deities were in their night clothes, but Lord Nityananda had a garland on. So I mentioned to the Pujari, they hadn't noticed that Lord Nityananda's got a garland on. So they brought the garland out, and I got Lord Nityananda's garland. Same thing with Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He was going into the temple asking for permission to write the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Madan Mohan, the deity's garland fell off. So Pujari immediately took that garland and gave him the garland. Krishna was reciprocating through these little details that you become aware of. You pay attention to, and you become aware of, and you can understand it. One of the devotees, he was leaving his body on the farm. He was looking out the window, and he was seeing the breeze moving all the leaves, and he was saying, Krishna's out there, he's waving, he's moving things. So you become sensitive, you become aware of how Krishna's interplaying with you. So to offer a lamp.
I'd like to one thing that I would like to add. In Vrindavan, in the temple there, I was watching the Mangal Aarti, and I've just started to watch it. And I was watching every morning, and then suddenly the flowers from the hand of Radharani fell, and it's amazing. It could have fallen when the camera was not on Radharani and Radha Shyam Sundar, and I thought, Radharani, you did that. You wanted me to see that you're blessing, and it's coming, and whatever is happening is giving the blessing. So that's beautiful. And then that happened a few times from different deities, and that was absolutely beautiful because it just shows that the path we've taken is there's a pull for that path.
You get some conscious reciprocation.
Yes.
You become conscious.
Yes, absolutely. And I haven't. I've been watching it every morning, and nothing happened. But this time it was Radha's. The time of her birthday time, and that time when I was watching when things happen. So it's like just before that, and it was just like Radharani is approving of what I'm doing and where I'm going, so it's beautiful.
It's described by the devotees that when you go into the temple, if you look at Krishna's face and you see him smiling, then you should take that as a sign that he's pleased with your activities. You can go into the temple and you can not notice that. You can see he's upset, he's upset with somebody. It's not a nice mood there. So definitely we have to take those signs personally to heart. Yeah, because he gets fatter, he eats more ghee, and his clothes get tight, and he's a person, so he's reciprocating with our love.
Every time I see Krishna Balaram, we see his cheeky, these smirk on his face all the time. I see this every time, like he's been up to some mischief. So I see that smirk on his face, his lips, and I'm thinking, yeah, what have you been up to?
Nice, very nice. I remember going into the temple in New Govardhan, and Krishna Balaram were dressed very nicely, and they had not the regal way, they were dressed like cowherd boys. And I found out who was the Pujari, and it was Bhushai. Bhushai, he left his body on the farm at the time in Krishna's Leela when Krishna was coming back after herding the cows. So he was absorbed in that mood, and he managed to manifest it. He was saying that he was all distressed, but still, that essential relationship, it appears in due course of time. It's not that we should then, wholly and solely identify with that. We should have to continue with our sadhana and try and purify ourselves so that our heart can become more clean, so that Krishna can reside in there more steadily and permanently, get to a stage of nishta, and then the taste and everything like that can manifest. So associating with devotees, serving devotees, that's the beginning, the middle, and the end. Anybody else with?
Any significance of crows in this pastime?
Yeah, the animals definitely have special significance. In Mayapur, when you offer some shraddha, you go and take the plate into the field, and the jackals, they come and eat it, or the crows. And it's said that they are messengers. They transport the offering to the particular region where the shraddha is supposed to go. I've left prasadam out in Australia and nothing happens. You come back later and it's still there. It's just, those messengers, those vehicles are not there. So the crows, they have a particular function. And as I mentioned at the time, when the crows had done their nonsense, there's a word, I can't remember the word, but I said Jamela, but they were then talked about by the other birds. There were other birds involved with Yaśodā. They witnessed, they saw Krishna, and she made at once a side comment. If those birds could speak, they would tell me what's going on. And the birds could speak, but they just acted so they couldn't speak. So later they were discussing the crows, and they were saying, "Oh, these rascal crows, they're a disgrace." The personified Vedas. There's different personalities there that express the appreciation of the different levels of devotee and service. So the crows have got their service to do. Like the pigs in Vrindavan, they've got their service to do. The nature's vacuum cleaners, they clean up the mess. So
there are beautiful description when the birds are discussing between themselves, who is correct, Yaśodā Ma or Kṛṣṇa?
wow.
There's a discussion happening, and they're watching, and they say, but why should Yaśodā Ma punish Krishna? He is the Supreme Person. And then the birds who are favoring Krishna, favoring Yaśodā, they're saying that, Krishna must be punished, otherwise, when he grow up, what's going to happen to him? This discussion is going on nicely.
So everybody, it's just like you have a big jagya, a big festival, and there's what's going on the altar, the Abhishek, and you get the devotees coming together and associating, discussing the pastimes and the philosophy and the details, different angles. Vichar, we were studying in Mayapur, and one of the principles of the course was Vichar. When you hear from different angles of vision, sometimes something will hit the spot, it will sink in. You can't just have this one narrow viewpoint. And another devotee, and you're saying when you go to India, you should bathe, you should take shelter of all the different holy places, because you never know which holy place is going to enliven you and awaken up that feeling. So we should take shelter. Every single devotee has got something that we can share. The animals have got something which they can share. They're all part of Krishna's pastimes. Churning the nectar of the Srīmad Bhāgavatam in this pastime. Thank you for allowing me to come here and spend some time in your association. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Damodar ki jai.
Shanti Prabhuji.